Put your mask on.
Is this some of that pure stuff from the guy
Yeah,
on the street?
100% oxygen.
Okay.
Put your mask on,
Okay.
and we'll go.
All right.
Okay, so get in there. Okay. Where are you at now?
I'm at 98.
Okay, take your mask off.
Take it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
And where are you at now? Where are you at now?
98.
Okay, take off.
97. 96. Oh, I'm dizzy.
Okay. Where are you at now?
96.
Hey, remember that Metallica riff? Do that one again.
I'm at 96.
You know where you are. You're in the jungle,
I'm at
baby.
96. 96 levels of oxygen.
Welcome to Spotlight Sioux Falls, where culture meets commerce and the people behind our favorite places get the mic.
We're your hosts, Melissa Goodwin and Steve Schmidt, and we're sitting down with the makers, doers, and dreamers shaping the soul of our city.
From storefronts to side hustles, tattoos to tech startups, we are telling the stories that make Sioux Falls shine.
Because behind every business is a human story, and those stories, they're what make our community feel like home. This is Spotlight Sioux Falls.
Hi, this is Steve Schmidt with Spotlight Sioux Falls, and we are back at Midwest Hyperbarics. This is the second time, actually third time we've been over here, because we came over to visit Dr. Dan Todd's wonderful wife, Nicole, who is also known as Mother Teresa over here in these parts. Dr. Todd, thanks for joining us today. You and I get to spend some time together, and then Nicole's going to come in with Melissa.
Perfect.
Here's the first question I have. Number one, what's happening back here?
Oh, so we put one of Nicole's gallon jugs of water in there. It's mostly air, and we're just running it up just to kind of demonstrate what happens to your body when you're in the chamber. So if you do have air, like you're gassy or something, it'll kind of compress everything. And if you had surgery, say you had a total knee or something, it will compress that whole area and get the air out, get the oxygen into those areas. So it's kind of helpful to get rid of some of the edema, swelling, and all that good stuff.
So initially it's going to do that. Now when it gets rid of it, it's going to also help drive oxygen into the tissue.
Right. So it's pressure is the main thing. You know, we do supplements. So you're breathing, instead of 20% oxygen, you're breathing 100%. But pressure is what's pushing it into the serum and actually into the tissues. And so we don't even rely on red blood cells. And I think we said that before. You don't even need red blood cells to live in one of these. You can have a hemoglobin of 0 and live fine in a hyperbaric chamber. It might be tricky for a while because you might get oxygen toxicity, but
Sure.
for that time, you don't. It gets the oxygen to the tissues where the blood can't get it, which is really important for patients who have radiation injuries to blood vessels, diabetic injury to blood vessels, just bad blood vessels from hyperlipidemia. People that get, sometimes you look at blood vessels when you're operating and if you open them up and they're just full of plaque from people that have, hypercholesterol and
Right.
lipids. And so if you can't get the blood flow, you can't get oxygen to tissues, but in here you can.
So this is going to help also, I understand it, with tinnitus and brain injury.
Now, tinnitus is a tough one. I developed tinnitus this year. I'm going to be 58, and all of a sudden it's just like, I remember my mom always complained about ringing in the ears, and she used to say, "I sent you to ear school, and you can't fix this ringing in my ears." And it was just kind of, "Oh, Mom, that's nothing." And now all of a sudden I have it. There's not a great cure all for tinnitus.
Yeah.
Hyperbarics has been talked about. Lipoflavonoids have been talked about. There's all kinds of tinctures and different things. And you can even, some people are so bothered by it, they go to counseling and you get on an antidepressant or something, but it is a real deal. The actual best thing we know for tinnitus is people that have hearing loss. If we amplify the sound that's out here in our environment, we don't hear the sound in our head. We're actually hearing the sound from the auditory nerve, which resides in the brainstem. They found that they thought, for the people that had ringing in their ears and very poor hearing, if we just go in there and we drilled out their cochlea and got rid of that whole area, the ringing would go away, and it actually got worse. So it's unfortunately it's the demise of the cochlea, so we can't hear what's out here, that makes the ringing worse, because then we hear the sound in our head, which is probably the repolarization of the auditory nerve in the brainstem. And so it's a tricky thing, but this actually does seem to help to some degree, but we don't certainly advertise tinnitus treatment for this. But.
I see. Okay, well, let's go to some things I know are going to help, and this thing is going to just...
Yeah, it just keeps on kind of just collapse it. It's only at 1.5 psi, so it's pretty low pressure, but it really just knocks the air in, and that's what really helps get get the oxygen into the areas where it can't. That's basically every injury.
Right.
If you have any surgery, any stroke, anything where you can't get blood flow, that's what causes the injury and the permanency of any injury. And so getting oxygen to that area helps with the healing.
I want to ask a question. It came up again when I saw there was an ex-NFL player the other night, Doug Martin from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got called. The cops called, and suddenly he's shot. And dad and people are saying, well, he went crazy because he had a concussion, right? And the post effects of brain injury to NFL players we hear a lot about. A lot of people have brain injury,
Right.
And concussions. They can be very damaging things that can really affect people mentally, physically.
Right.
And those around them. Talk to me about how hyperbarics can help people who have brain injury or concussion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the treatment is going to help people variably, just as concussions affect people variably. However, it's one of the only treatments. They have some new medication they're talking about, or some new things, but I don't know exactly how those will work. But it is interesting. Like Muhammad Ali, when his dementia progressed so dramatically, and then 60 Minutes had an episode of all the small arms fire, of all the military people were getting kind of a post-traumatic stress disorder that led to this blank kind of affect, and to the point where they were suicidal, and they were just, and we've seen multiple patients. We have a rodeo fellow from down the road who has a story about how his marriage was on the rocks just because he had no affect, he had nothing, and then he got tremendous relief. I think that one thing I'd say, if you get a concussion and there's all that edema and swelling, this will get the oxygen to the areas immediately. And we've seen kids that come in, or people. It's every NFL player that gets a concussion now, they're in one of these.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Immediately.
almost assuredly that within 24 hours.
That's great. So the NFL teams are providing that, or they're coming to a facility?
I don't know. I don't know. They're not in the. I don't know. It's not in the public, but they are in them. They know it works. And if you have kids that have that post light and that post concussive syndrome and the light sensitivity, that sometimes goes away in one time. So it just gets the oxygen past the edema, past all that that ischemia, and sort of allows it to heal.
Yeah.
And so there are good protocols. There's a physician up in Fargo that's done a lot of work on research, and I think they're doing like 10 treatments, but they have dramatic results of that. And the veterans have always talked about post-traumatic stress and all the concussive things, and how they have all these suicide lines, but they don't really have any good treatments. And so there are a lot of places where philanthropists have put a lot of veterans in these chambers, like multi-chambers, and it seems to help a lot with that. And in this psychiatric community isn't recognizing these things. We've had a psychiatrist who's got a lot of interest in putting patients in these for that type of a
quick question though. Now we're talking about a chamber that does not need to be a 3 ATA chamber, right? It could be a 2 ATA chamber. So if I'm in a non-chronic condition, I wouldn't need all the atmospheric pressure, right? I wouldn't need the medical grade chamber.
Correct.
And so I also wouldn't benefit from a home soft chamber. I need one that's what, 2?
So, and actually, Jada was just informing me on some of the new literature about why the oxidative stress sometimes from a higher might not be better. And so they were talking about 2 kind of being ideal, but even some being less. So I'd have to review the literature, but you're right about that. There's a sweet spot for neuro injuries, which seems these go to 2, but they go higher as well.
Yeah.
And so, right now this is a little past 2, but you can see that bottle's almost kind of crushed there. But
yeah,
but there's some thought that there's some thought in the research that not going too high is more beneficial, so that you're not
microdosing.
Yeah, well, I don't know all the reasons. And then also the thought, taking air breaks and going up and down, that sort of seems to regenerate stem cells and different things with this, the up and down effect of air break, going on medical air while you're in the chamber, and then going back to pure oxygen.
Yeah.
And so those are things that are being studied, but all in all, I think it seems to be very helpful in a lot of patients. And so if I had a concussion, I'd sure be in one. If I had any acute neurologic injury, if I had a stroke and I didn't have a contraindication, I'd be in one of these.
Yeah.
If I had a facial paralysis, all of a sudden my face didn't. You ever seen somebody, their face didn't work? Well, that happens usually suddenly due to a virus of some type. And we put them on steroids, but if they get better in these things, or you lose your hearing like that, that's a common thing that I see. I'd be in one of these things and on steroids.
What about if you just learn that you have dementia, early stage dementia, or you have dementia in your family? When is the right time to talk to you about if this can help if you have dementia?
You know, I think that's the jury's out on the dementia stuff. I think it does. There's been a lot of studies that show that it's helpful, and there's been studies that show these chronic neurologic issues like autism and dementia. They're very difficult to get good data on.
Yeah.
And there's some things that only the good Lord can fix, and
Yeah.
He doesn't, and we all are kind of programmed to skid down the road and die. So it's not we all kind of are decaying.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know about those things, but some people see some benefit, and some people, that can afford to come in and say, boy, they see benefit. And you say, well, do they still get the benefit when they quit?
Yeah.
Jury's out. I don't know.
So you mentioned something interesting. You have me terrified right now that we're just on this steep hill towards death, but that's encouraging, Doc. Thank you.
Yeah.
What about longevity in general? Like, so if I'm just healthy and I say, well, I work out, I want to come in here. I also understand like the inflammation that you get, soreness, recovery. Like you wouldn't need this chamber, but it absolutely would help in those instances.
Right. I don't know if you ever seen that series on Netflix, Don't Die, I think it's called.
I haven't.
And it's what's the guy's name? Brian Johnson or something.
Oh, Brian Johnson, of course.
And he somehow he became a billionaire or close to a billionaire, and he spends his whole life trying to live as long as possible. And so he's very good. He's following all these markers and prototypes, and he's measuring the ends of the DNA strands called the telomeres, and that's kind of indicative of your longevity. And of all the things that he's done, he eats perfect. He does everything perfect, every supplement, every little thing. But all the things he's done, hyperbaric oxygen has made the biggest difference in supposedly making him younger.
Yeah.
And so it does. And they talked about that. Some of the Israeli studies have said, gosh, this is looking good that you're gonna live forever, but
Yeah.
nobody lives forever. So I don't know.
Well, I think everybody's, wanting to preserve life and feeling good as long as possible.
Right.
And I'll go back. I've said it before. Is when I was first researching this clinic, something that really stood out to me was like life is a series of injuries.
Right.
And when you start to admit that to yourself,
Yeah.
you do want to feel better.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go, well, maybe this is gonna be a forever thing. And like you said, some of those things just kind of are. Whether it's a sore shoulder or a
No, I know. Wait till you're 58 almost, and you wake up and you sprain your ankle sleeping or something. It's like, what the heck? It's like, yeah, I never had these things. I pulled my back out putting my sock on the other day. It's like I never thought I would have issues like that, but it seems to sneak up on
well,
you.
it's a good thing you have a lot of hyperbaric chambers.
Yeah,
that you can.
yeah.
When do if I come here and let's say broadly, when do I start to feel better?
And I may even defer that to Nicole since she's here with the people, but it usually, you say they're turning the corner 8 to 10 sometimes treatments.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't have as much, with each and every patient. Nicole's telling me, like, should people come in and they're just kind of have this blank look, and then it's like pretty soon they're chipper and they're just change their whole minute. And from what I've heard, it's 8 to 10 treatments. It does take a while.
Yeah.
And then people have talked about, in healing, in wound healing, it may be 40 treatments, or, plus. That's a lot of treatments, but if you can save a foot or something, it's worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, especially those cases that we've learned about since then are the ones that are most powerful to me, because you see not only them talk about it or hear them talk about it, you see, I got to see the before and after pictures. And I was a little blown away. Of course, the pre and the post were dramatically different.
Yeah.
And that's when I started telling everybody I know about it, because I just said, well, I know my brother, his feet feel a certain way, and he wants to get feeling his feet back on a normal basis. I said, get over there. And, their first question is always, and I'm going to bring up something that you didn't see coming, but they go, well, how much does it cost? Right. And I think that's something in every area of life.
Right.
And if we really had to look at our health, we can buy everything in sight, but really there's only so many things that work.
Yeah. For
For somebody who's coming in and insurance is not covering you, what can they, so they're anticipating 8 to 10 sessions. They're going to probably be running a good $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 of their personal investment, right? For whatever that is. That's, I think, the concern that I've looked when I've researched this. People go, well, how do I know that it works? Because the investment's significant. And I said, I've learned a lot about that. And here's the question for you that I would ask you. is it worth it if someone isn't sure if
Right.
they're going to get better to come in here and find out? Because I think there's always that. The thing I like about you guys is you have a high level of integrity. So you're not just
Right.
going to say, come in and find out. It helps everybody.
Right.
It's a case by case basis, right?
Yeah.
How do you advise people when they ask you about that? Because I bet you get asked a lot at dinner parties and all over the place.
So I am very, it, it, I'm slow to be, and I certainly never want to be pushy. And it sort of depends. I would be pushy on a very acute condition. You've
Yeah.
got a concussion, you've got an injury, you're having a surgery. It's going to help.
Yeah.
And I've seen people that have had one knee done and the other knee, and the recovery time's cut in half. That's worth a lot.
Yes.
And so, certainly a sensory nerve hearing loss or stroke, something that happened and you're trying to heal it.
Mhm.
And it's like that. And a lot of those things are covered by insurance, but some of
Mhm.
them aren't. A lot of the neurologic things just aren't.
Yeah.
Not even the sensory neural hearing loss is by private payers, but not by Medicare. So it's kind of
Mm.
like, it's always difficult. The chronic things, I think it sort of depends on the person. And some people are like, well, it's all I got. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And they do. People in general do feel better.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. The honest question is, how are they going to, if they do, say 30 sessions and then they feel great, what's going to be like, down the road? And that's where somebody, maybe they would say, well, I'm going to get one of these that I can take a nap in at home or something,
Yeah.
and that seems to be helpful. Just kind of watching my own wife with this. She kind of,
Yeah.
we get home from a trip and she's in the chamber, like, cause she kind of missed it. So those are,
I've been at your house and I've been here, and I will say there's no shortage of these, and there's no
Yeah.
shortage of, but it's an overall healthy vibe, if you
Right.
will, right? And so I think the question about longevity is, for a lot of people, you can drink some water and feel better. That's not
Yeah.
what we're talking about. We're talking about a significant reduction in inflammation,
Yeah.
soreness, right? And that seems worth it to some people, right? Because they
Right.
go, well, I don't want that because now it's going to
Yeah.
hamper my recovery time.
Right.
Overall, though, as we wrap up, my understanding, I want you to really respond to this, is like, here's what I've learned now,
Yeah.
hanging out with you guys
Right.
for 3 months now, 4 months going on, is that pressure is the mechanism
Right.
that makes oxygen work. And
Yeah.
the more pressure that you can push the oxygen into your body, the more likely this is to work.
Well, in oxygen, so oxygen it's like the third most common element in our universe, and it's kind of the divine element. It is the energy giving element.
Yeah.
And it's the ultimate electron receptor. So it diminishes, it's what feeds us through eating our carbohydrates and whatever, we get to learn the Krebs cycle. It's what feeds us through respiration.
Yep.
And so it is what heals and gives us energy, ATP through the mitochondria and all those things we had to memorize. So oxygen is kind of the divine element. And it has to be delivered in our bodies we're at 20%. It has to be delivered at this pressure by hemoglobin or myoglobin, and these big chunks of proteins that can't get through little blood vessels. So the pressure is what allows it to get to injury places when when the red cells can't get there. And the red cells can't get in there when there's an injury. There's just, everything is inflamed. And so the pressure is really important. And like I said, it's you get a little bit of benefit breathing 100% oxygen.
Yeah.
But matter of fact, I want to show you a little experiment if we could do that.
Yeah.
In a minute, we can get ready for that. But yeah, but pressure is the way of administering the drug, which is oxygen. Put your mask on.
Is this some of that pure stuff from the guy
Yeah,
on the street?
100% oxygen.
Okay.
Put your mask on,
Okay.
and we'll go.
All right.
Okay, pretty good for now. Okay. Where are you at now?
I'm at 98.
Okay, take your mask off.
Take it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you at now? Where are you at now?
98.
Okay, take off.
97. 96. Oh, I'm dizzy.
Okay. Where are you at now?
96.
Hey, remember that Metallica riff? Do that one again.
I'm at 96.
You know where you are. You're in the jungle,
I'm at
baby.
96. 96 levels of oxygen.
We are here again at Midwest Hyperbarics. Today we're going to talk a little bit more to Nicole Todd. You're the reason this whole place exists. Is that true? This is true. So you started this amazing enterprise. So maybe you can take us back to the beginning and tell us a little bit about what your life was like before you ever heard of a hyperbaric chamber.
Okay, so I was kind of having some issues with chronic fatigue type things, fibromyalgia, some gut issues, things like that. And as I was going to different doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me, then finally they said, "Oh, you have fibromyalgia." So that's to me just a blanket of we don't really know what's wrong with you. However, learning more about that now, I have learned so much. But then I also, went to a lot of different, an herbologist and different chiropractors and massage, and I wasn't getting any relief. So they also had decided to start prescribing like antidepressants and nerve blockers, pain meds. And my mom struggled with a lot of these things. And when it got to that point, I said, I've already seen this movie and I don't like how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of felt defeated because I knew I didn't want to do that. I continued on with my different vitamins and things like that. And just kind of felt defeated.
Yeah. Is
Um,
it all lumped into autoimmune? Is that what we call fibromyalgia and kind of the things that you're describing?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is they can't really pinpoint any of that with a blood test or with scans. I did have carpal tunnel in both of my wrists. I had tendonitis in my elbows. I was scheduled for surgery for that. And then COVID hit. And so the day that I was supposed to go in for the surgery, somebody on the team that was going to be doing the surgery tested positive for COVID. So they canceled the surgery. And thankfully, I never ended up having it because of all of the things that transpired after that. A friend of mine who was struggling with ulcerative colitis had been doing hyperbarics, and she decided that she would buy a soft chamber and have it at her house. But she needed help getting in and out of this chamber. She couldn't, there's all the zippers and all the things. So she had asked if I would be able to come over and help her. And I was kind of at first a little like, oh, man, I don't feel very good. I can't be helping you right now. I got to get myself better.
Yeah.
But then, being myself, it's like, all right, I'll do it. And so I would go over and help her get in. And she said, if you want to try this, you can. And so I jumped in, and after, a few sessions, I started feeling better. And then 2 weeks later, I was feeling a lot better. And I said to Dan, I said, I'm buying one of these things. And so at that point, then he kind of started researching because he's a researcher too. And so he came up with buying a hard chamber instead of a soft chamber. And from there, I had said a little prayer, dear Lord, if you want me to be your hands and feet, you have to help mine work. And then I added, and if you do, I promise I will share with others. And so once I started feeling better, it's like, okay, I have to do good on my promise. And I just would tell people, you need to come over and try this. It works. And one after the next, people were coming over to my house and doing hyperbarics. In the meantime, I had learned about a few other things that kind of enhanced it. So I had bought it's a beamer mat, which is radio frequency that increases blood flow in the body. And I came upon that when I was traveling. Obviously, you can't go on vacation with your hard hyperbaric chamber. So I had said to my sister who was with, I said, well, I think I'm going to go home early because I wasn't done with my initial protocol with my hyperbarics. And she said, why don't you try the beamer out and see if that will help? Well, it got me through where I didn't have to go home. Okay. And then from there, I was feeling really good because I ended up purchasing a beamer. And I thought, well, why wouldn't we want to put these two things together? Because if you can increase the blood flow in your body before you get in, and beamer has a lingering effect for 12 to 18 hours after, although hyperbarics does increase blood flow in the body and does all of these things. Combining them together, I thought, well, why not? And it was great. So if I do travel, I take my Beamer with me. I always have it. And then from there, then I added in some different supplementation that, and they're not really supplements, they're more activators, because what they do is they activate the body to do what they were supposed to do. So when people say, well, how will I know when I'm done? How many sessions do I have to do? How can I sustain myself? Using those has been key for me. So I don't have to get in my chamber every day. I get in there maybe once a week because I can. But yeah, if I go travel, it kind of traveling takes it out of me. You're on an airplane for a long time, whatever. Although I do bring my Beamer with me on the plane. When I get home, why not take a nap when I get in? I still have a chamber at home, so I'm certainly going to use it.
So what are some of the things you tried before you got into the soft chamber? What are some of the things that you tried for your different symptoms that you had?
Well, I did massage therapy. I did red light therapy. I did um, chiropractic extensively. Um, and I had a lady that I would go see that she's an herbologist. And all those things were helpful, but they weren't getting me better to the
Okay.
point that I needed to be. I mean, it was just beyond that for me.
Okay.
And that's why I ended up going to see the rheumatologist, because I'm like, well, I've done everything in the natural realm that I could. And then her prescribing the meds, I did it for about a week, and I'm like, I don't feel this isn't right for me. Um, so when I went back for my follow-up, I said, well, is there anything else? And she said, it's really all I have. And I felt really defeated.
Yeah.
And just a few days later is when I had gotten the call from my friend who needed help getting in the chamber. So it really was an answer to a prayer.
Yeah. So what did you notice when you said, "Oh, I felt something?" What did
Um,
you feel? What did you
I
notice?
my hands didn't hurt. I could
Okay.
squeeze my hands without them hurting. Um, the inflammation in my body started to go down to the point that um, I could move easier.
Mhm.
Um, I could tie my shoes without hurting. I could
So you
bend
couldn't even
over.
tie your shoes before.
No, I would wear slip-ons.
You're in pain all the time.
Yes, all the time.
How did you function?
I didn't function well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you were able to do just like within a few sessions, you were able to tie your
Yeah,
shoes and feel different.
yeah.
That's amazing. So for folks that have chronic issues, is it something where they have to kind of, okay, if the hyperbaric chamber is going to help me, I have to plan on doing this for the rest of my life? Or how do you, some folks, obviously, if you've got a surgery, you don't have, you probably don't need to come back over and over again. But if you've got
Right.
a chronic issue, is it something you need to kind of plan on as part of your treatment protocol?
Well, here's the thing, everyone's going to be different on how many treatments they need.
Okay.
If you have something long-term chronic, that's going to be, you might want to look at purchasing a chamber, but I would say what gets me through now is I use my Beamer twice a day. I use it morning and night because that lingering effect is 12 to 18 hours. And my activation products. So, and it's been a life changer to me. And when I did the hyperbarics, it brought me to a certain level that I'm like, wow. And adding these other things in, it gave me that assurance that when you struggle like that for so long, you
Hmm.
always guess, like, am I going to be feeling well enough to do anything with,
Sure.
it's hard to make plans with your friends. It's hard to commit to watching your grandkids, which I had been doing, and I stopped because I didn't trust that I was going to have a good enough day. I thought, what if I'm having a bad day and I can't keep up with them? And now I don't worry about that.
So your life has changed
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicole. So you talked a little bit about this beamer technology. Tell me exactly what does the beamer do? How does it work? When do I
So,
use it?
so Beamer is radio frequency, and their frequency is patented. And it's more of a rolling effect that actually lingers in the body 12 to 18 hours. So actually, NASA teamed up with Beamer from 2015 to 2020, and they added this frequency into the spacesuits for the
Oh,
astronauts.
why?
Because when the astronauts would go up into mission, when they would come back, they would lose a lot of their strength and things like that. So they would have to go through a lot of physical therapy when they came back. Well, I was really curious because I had read that claim. And this last mission that the astronauts went on, and they were stuck up there for 9 months, they had this frequency in their suits at the time. So I thought, okay, well, how are they, everyone's saying, what's the condition going to be when they get back? And all of the astronauts were able to get up and get on their own gurneys. Now, they still took them in and had assessments done, and they still had physical therapy and things to do. But prior to that, sometimes they'd have to like lift them up and put them on the gurney.
Oh,
So they
wow.
were able to keep some of their strength and things from that. And they also have an entire line that they use for horses. So when you watch the Kentucky Derby and you see these horses that people spend so much money on, they want to keep them in top running condition. They'll use Beamer therapy as well to help with the inflammation and recover with the horses.
So there's
So-
a specific waveform or a specific frequency that they have built into this technology that's different than any other tech that might be on the shelf somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what is it? So it helps you kind of keep your strength? Is that the
It-
general idea?
It increases the blood flow in the body.
Okay.
And this has the lingering effect. So when you have increased blood flow, then you have a higher oxygen level just
Got
from
it.
that.
Okay.
Now, hyperbarics will do that too.
Sure.
But my thought was, why not combine them? I mean, this got me through from not having to go home from my vacation, although it didn't give me the same effect that the hyperbarics does. But it gave me a boost. And once I got to a certain point where I didn't feel like I needed to get into my hyperbaric chamber every day, this keeps me boosted.
Yeah.
And I can tell when I haven't done it. Now, some people sit on it, they don't feel anything at all. Some people get on there and they're like, oh, my back was hurting. It's not hurting anymore. So it really just depends. We also use the spot if somebody's having trouble clearing their ears. We'll have them hold that up to their ear, kind of gets things moving, and then they're able to pop their ears sometimes.
okay.
It's just some little things that we've tried. If you sprain your ankle or you have, on my elbow with the tendonitis or whatever, if I hold that on there, it just kind of helps those muscles release and relax a little bit.
Okay.
So I love my Beamer.
So you sell these and you sell hyperbaric chambers for
Yep.
home use, right?
Yep.
So you almost need like in case you've got a space and you're like, do we put in a golf simulator? No, you put in a hyperbaric chamber, right?
Then you can go golfing longer.
There you go. And then if you can't, maybe you don't have a space for a hyperbaric chamber, you can come here and then
Mhm.
maybe buy a Beamer that you have at home
Yep.
to supplement maybe in some
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. And then after I learned about the Beamer, I had a lady that kept trying to get me to try these different products. And I said, I already take all the things that are in there because I had my herbologist and I had,
Okay. Yeah.
and
So herbologists, they give you what, tinctures and
yeah,
things?
I had
Okay.
tinctures. And I did her protocol for close to 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was somewhat helpful. I did a detox with her. I did, but nothing got me to a point where I was like, wow, let's go to the park, kids,
Yeah.
until I started doing this stuff.
Okay.
And then when I started the other products, it was LifeVantage products with the Protandem, and I started with the Healthy Glow Stack, which is the collagen and the Protandem. And a couple weeks in, I thought, geez, I think this stuff works. But I didn't want to say because I'd taken so many things that people are like, oh, what do you got now?
Mm-hmm.
And so then about 3 weeks, I thought, wow, I only have a week left. Because I said I'll do 30 days. I'm not doing any more than that. Well, then at that point I said, I think I'm going to get another 30 days. That stuff actually I think working. And so at that point, Dan said, well, I can see that next level of change in you. And so each time I did another layer
Mm-hmm.
from the hyperbarics to then adding the Beamer to then adding in the LifeVantage products, he's like, wow, this is another step in the right direction. And then after that, I just said, it's the magic trio.
Yeah.
I mean, this healed me. I haven't taken an ibuprofen or a Tylenol in 3+ years now.
That's amazing. So you get the pressure from the hyperbaric oxygen, the radio frequency from the beamer, and then the supplementation or the activators from your supplements. So what's
Yeah.
in the supplements that helps you
So
much?
they're patented. The
Okay.
Protandim is patented, and it's been out for about 20 years. A lot of doctors know about it. It's all natural, so it's not something that you're going to get in a pharmacy.
Okay.
Um, and there's a lot of people that say, well, it's a multi-level marketing. I don't know if I want to try that. And I would say everything is. And what do you have to lose?
Sure.
ABC did a prime time on Protandim when it first came out, and it was kind of supposed to be a gotcha moment. It just Google ABC prime time Protandim or LifeVantage, and it'll come up. And the guy that was in that, not only did his blood results come back much improved in just 2 weeks, he still takes it today.
That's amazing. So if you've got some kind of chronic health issue, if you've got something that maybe you've struggled with for years and just maybe you've lost all hope and you're like, I don't think there's anything out there that could help me. Time to maybe give Nicole a call.
Yeah, I would love to sit down with anybody. And, I believe in it so much that I will give it away for free. Not that I can at this point anymore, because opening a clinic changed all that for me. When I was doing this out of my house, though, I was not charging anyone. This was giving back something because my prayer was answered.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I knew that there was a bigger need in this community than people just coming to my house and getting in a chamber. So it's been a game changer for so many people in my family too. I mean, my nieces and my nephews and my kids and my, anybody that, hey, can I come over? Can I come over? And I feel so blessed.
Well, it's evidenced by the people that you have that continue to come in here, by the traffic that you have here, and by the need in the community. So I'm so glad that you guys have built this thing. I'm so glad that you've had the experiences that you did. Not that it was good to go through that.
Well,
but
yeah.
now you're able to help all these people
Yeah.
with the work that you've done and the amazing facility that you have.
Yeah. I always say, God will bring you where you need to go.
It can be painful though.
It can be painful, but if you just stay with it, there's something to be learned. There's something to be shared. There's something you can learn from any situation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and for building this amazing facility.
Yeah.
And if you are someone out there who is struggling, give Nicole a call or one of the team members here at Midwest Hyperbarics and check out one of these chambers, or maybe the Beamer, or maybe the LifeVantage.
Yeah.
One of them can't hurt, right?
Right. I mean, it's going to help. I promise.
All right. Thanks, Nicole. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
This episode of Spotlight Sioux Falls is sponsored by Magnetic. We help businesses grow through content that stands out and software that scales your conversations. Not sure how to build your pipeline? You can find us at magnetic.services. Magnetic.services. Your pipeline will thank you.
Thanks for listening to Spotlight Sioux Falls.
These are the stories and the businesses that shape our city. If you heard something today that made you smile, made you think, or maybe reminded you of someone you know in your neighborhood, please share it.
That's how we support local. That's how we grow. And if you know a business owner we should feature, or you want to tell your story, reach out.
Until next time, we're Steve and Melissa, and this is Spotlight Sioux Falls, where local stories get the stage they deserve. Running a business means we all wear a lot of hats, but sometimes you need extra hands, sometimes some specialized talent to keep projects moving.
That's where our friends at Solvo Global come in. Whether you need offshore or nearshore resources or long-term project support, Solvo connects you with the right people to scale your business.
They make it simple. You get trusted talent without the overhead, so you can focus on growth instead of scrambling for help.
Check out the link in our show notes below to learn more about how Solvo Global can support your next big move.